What's going on, everybody? This is your guy DJ Kuzmo and you're watching Kuzmo Wrestling. Before I begin, I always wanted to put out this video, I just not had the time to record, and that was my first and only takeaway from this past TNA Slammiversary 2025 on Sunday, July 20th, live from Long Island, New York. And since this coming Sunday is Bound for Glory, both Bound for Glory and Slammiversary is considered one of the big four pay-per-views for TNA, I want to quickly recap some of the highlights and my first and only takeaway from TNA Slammiversary. Firstly, in the insane Fatal 4-Way ladder match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, we have new tag team champions in the Hardy Boys of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. They will be at Bound for Glory this Sunday as they take on Team 3D for both the NXT Tag Team Championships and the TNA World Tag Team Championships. We also had for Slammiversary, Leon Slater defeats Moose to become the youngest TNA X Division champion. This coming Sunday at Bound for Glory, he will have a matchup against Javon Evans for that same championship. The third matchup that I want to mention from TNA Slammiversary was that in a winner take-all for both the TNA Knockouts Championship and the NXT Women's Championship in a matchup of Masha Slamovich versus JC Jane, and by controversial finish, JC Jane became a doubles champion of having both the Knockouts Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. But then we fast forward to October. JC Jane is no longer the Knockouts champion. We now have a new Knockouts champion in an NXT star in Kalani Jordan, and she will have a match against Indy Hartwell at Bound for Glory. But then we get to my fourth and final match from this year's TNA Slammiversary, and that was the main event for the TNA World Championship of Mike Santana versus Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry. This match lasted 13 minutes and 15 seconds. At one point, it looked like Trick Williams was out of the match because he was touching his knee and he felt that probably his knee was bothering him. And then we just had Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana. But as we fast forward to the course of this main event matchup at TNA Slammiversary, after when Joe Hendry delivered a standing ovation chokeslam to Mike Santana and he goes for the cover, Mike Santana surprisingly kicks out at 2. Joe Hendry can't believe it because this is the first time anybody has ever kicked it out of the standing ovation chokeslam. Mike Santana motions to Joe Hendry to hit him again. So then we see Joe Hendry attempting to do a second standing ovation chokeslam, but Mike Santana blocks it. He goes for a couple of uppercuts to Joe Hendry and they brawl in the ring yet again. Then we see Mike Santana to back-to-back spin the block discus lariats to Joe Hendry. He goes for the cover, but then out of nowhere, we see Trick Williams rushing to the ring. He moves Mike Santana out the way. He goes for the cover on Joe Hendry, and 1, 2, 3. Trick Williams retains the TNA World Championship, but now at Bound for Glory, we are now finally getting the matchup of Mike Santana versus Trick Williams.